Every pregnancy needs utmost care and attention. But certain pregnancies need a little extra attention. An Rh negative mother carrying an Rh positive baby is at increased risk of complications. BSV is at the forefront to ensure safe delivery in every Rh negative pregnancy.
So we're talking about New Zealand. So in the first segment, the big picture, let me just give you a quick stat. Since the 2017 ODI World Cup, they've played 40 matches, they have won 16 and lost 24. So let's just keep this India series aside for a while, for the time being. So recently, they have suffered losses against England, home and away, Australia at home. So before the India series, Julie, I'll come to you with my first question. Your assessment of the team before they played India.
Yeah, it was looking a little lean there on runs and wickets for a while there, but I think they've learnt a lot from the tour, particularly that they had in England. It was a bit of a wake-up call for them. They've obviously got Amy Satterthwaite back as well, which from having her first child, which is great. And I think that they've just started to get a really nice core leadership group happening now again, and just really getting some stability. Good thing as well is they've started to be able to bring in a few new players as well, which I think was really going to help them, obviously, in this World Cup at home, people who know the conditions. But I just think they've learnt a lot from their makeup of the team. It's a much more balanced team that they've got selected now and leading into this World Cup. And I think they've learnt from those past errors.
True. So if one thing I have to pinpoint against the England series that they played, they got momentum some or the other ways in bits and pieces, but they weren't able to capitalize on that. So finishing matches were a concern for them, Shathira?
Actually, yes, because if you'll get the momentum, you have to finish the game. Once you get it, if you cannot finish it, that thing, I think in future it will hamper your results. So it was one of the part, but I think when they played against England and Australia, the both team are better than New Zealand. So before World Cup, they have played with India, and it was a great series for New Zealand. I think they will remember this thing and this win, and it will help them in the World Cup.
So positives from the India series, Julia, they tried a lot of batting combinations, a lot of new players got in, they tried different combinations, but still they didn't have to face defeat. They won 4 games in a row. So what do you think worked for them? How do you think, what are the positives for New Zealand heading into the ODI World Cup?
Well, they had a bit of a change in a couple of their spinners. They had not quite a debutant. She had played before in the left arm orthodox, and Jonas.
Yes.
They got to be able to promote Amelia Kerr up the order to number 3, and that worked unbelievably well for them. She had a great tour. They also played around a lot with their opening combinations and sort of switching in between the openers and the middle order, just to really tweak, I suppose, about clarity around roles and who's best suited to doing what. So to me, they got to experiment a lot without actually having too many losses, or it didn't really affect the result too much. So to me, that really shows a team that's adaptable and flexible, and I think that will really will help them in a tournament where you do need flexibility all the time, with particularly a bit of New Zealand weather. You never know what's going to happen there, and a few rain-reduced games. But I also think that their bowling has improved. It was certainly a bit of a weakness of theirs as well, and it was a little bland, but now it seems to have really had a bit of grunt added to it, with some good young talent coming through. Jess Kerr in some really good form. Obviously, Leah Tahuhu is going to be leading that with her pace attack, and a couple of spinners in Frankie Mackay and obviously Amelia Kerr.
Definitely. So we've got the positives from Julia. So coming to you, Shathira, can you just pinpoint one negative or one concern you think New Zealand will have to improve before they head into the mega event?
I think they have to improve in the pace bowling side as well, because they have good pace bowler, definitely, but they're not so much experienced player. But like World Cup is a big stage, and in this stage, if you doesn't have so many experienced pace bowler, I don't know how they will handle. But they have so many positive sides. But if you tell me about one negative side, maybe it's about their pace bowling.
True. So now let's just get into the side. Let's just discuss, dive deeper into it. So the first question for you, of course, Shathira, When the New Zealand squad was announced, the omission of Lee Kasparik surprised many. Like an experienced campaigner, she comes in with important breakthroughs for the team more often than not. Will that hurt New Zealand somewhere, or the spin attack consisting of Amelia, Francis Mackay still presents itself as a formidable unit?
That's true. Before the World Cup, if you'll miss this kind of senior and good performer, then maybe sometime it is a good it is a big thing for the team. But I don't think so. It will hamper a lot because all the other players, they are doing well, especially in the last series, and they are all confident. But I believe that cricket is all about confidence. Whatever you are, very senior player or a junior player, if you are confident, you can play well with any team. So I don't think so it will be a big trouble for the team.
Okay. Next up, Julia, I would like to know your views on the inclusion of Fran Jonas, the 17-year-old left-arm spinner in the side.
Yeah, well, I think, in fact, she's probably the reason that Kasparik isn't there as well. I think they just sort of wanted to have a little bit of variety in their attack. She's played a few games, bowled reasonably okay, nothing too exciting against the Indians, but looked like she had some good control. And as a 17-year-old, she's certainly one for the future. She may be just that person they've picked to get some World Cup experience up to start planning for the future. I can't see her pushing herself into the starting 11, but particularly with the two spinners in Frankie Mackay and obviously Amy Southwaite can also bowl some little off spinners as well as Amelia Kerr with her leg spin. But I think she's a great prospect for the future. She has some really nice shape when she bowls, and obviously a left armer. We all love having a left armer attacking the stumps and taking away from those right-handers.
True, great asset for the future, and these are the times when you test the players, like the event like that of World Cup. Even if she doesn't make it to the first 11, it would be a great learning experience for her for sure. Coming to you only for the next thing, in the inexperience of the pace attack, we've talked about spin now, the inexperience of the pace attack after Leah Tahuru. They obviously have Jess Kerr, they have seam bowling all-rounder Hayley Jensen there. But do you think that the lack of experience there somewhere is a bit of a concern for New Zealand?
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a concern. I think, fortunately for them, Jess Kerr's really found some good form recently, so that's going to really strengthen their bowling attack. Frankie Mackay, Leah Tahuru are going to be the key ones, but I think Hayley Jensen's also really stepped up in her attack. So really, probably the weakness is that fifth bowler, which may be your Hannah Rowe or your Rosemary Mayer. And again, I think the experience having played a 5-game series against India is really going to help that group and also those girls to really understand what their game's about and how they can continue to improve. So hopefully everyone will get around those girls. They may get selected and may not bowl their full 10 overs just to get them through and really rely on the experience of the other bowlers. So I think it's a little bit of a concern, but at the same time, I think the batting has really improved enough. They're averaging around 275, I think, now in the series. Which means they've got plenty of runs to play with as bowlers. So hopefully they can get them over the line, the young kids coming through.
Also, one thing that in the series we noticed that, during every game we saw some other player from the New Zealand side coming up, stepping up for the team. Sometimes it was Susie Bates, the other time it was Annie Setterthwaite. Then in bowling also we saw the similar pattern. It was a bilateral series. They had chances to try different combinations. But when it comes to the World Cup, where it's a one-off tournament, every game heading into that mega event becomes important. So those contributions that one player stands for you for that particular game and probably the others, they experience a collapse. What is it like? It's a positive or sometimes it's a concerning factor for the side because you need to perform as a unit? Do you think that is something that we noticed in the series?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought they certainly didn't rely on one person, which I think has probably been the fault of New Zealand in the past, is that they sort of relied a little bit too heavily maybe on Sophie Devine or Susie Bates. So now they've got Amelia Kerr stepping up. She got 100. Susie Bates got 100. Lauren Down got a play of the match as well with a 60-odd or 50-odd. They've had some really good spells. Jess Kerr picking up for not relying on Leah Tahuru all the time to do that. So I think they've actually started to spread out the load a little bit, which really helps. And I think most successful teams, by doing that, you're not actually just relying on an individual. It's about the whole team lifting when someone else can't do it every single time for them. So to me, absolutely, I think it's a big positive for New Zealand and certainly a step in the right direction.
So, when we talk about such a tournament, the ICC tournament, you also look at the leadership there. So New Zealand have, sort of noticed quite a few changes in their leadership over the course of time now. So what are your thoughts on their captain, Sophie Devine, the way she's been leading the team? Julia?
Well, it's interesting actually because Sophie Devine captain for a couple of games, and then Amy Satterthwaite captain for a couple of games. So they're really testing all situations in case something happens or there's an injury or whatever happens. But I've really noticed that it's not really just the person that's got the captain next to their name. That they seem to have quite a strong leadership group that all discuss between Susie Bates, Amy Satterthwaite, and Sophie Devine, and obviously the bowler is involved in that as well. So to me, I think they've got quite a good leadership core at the top. So Sophie's obviously an experienced player and captain as well, and her tactical knowledge is excellent. She's done a lot in New Zealand and also played a lot in Australia as well. So she's going to have a fairly extensive knowledge of what they should be doing and what they need to be able to do to make sure that they get over the line. But to me, the fact that there's more than just one leader in this team, I think is a huge bonus for New Zealand, and they just seem to be getting things all fitting together nicely, and it's a good sign for New Zealand leading into this home World Cup.
So one big question for the New Zealand side: who opens there with Susie Bates? Is it Sophie Devine? Is it Maddie Green? Julia?
Well, I'm going to go with Sophie Devine because I know that the Bates Devine smash sister thing is sort of they've batted together a lot. They know each other's games. I think they want to step up as senior players to, set the tone, I think, and get them off to a great start for that power play and put them in a good position, which will then allow the rest of the order to play their game. However, in saying that, Maddie Green is also excellent in that top order, and it frees up Sophie Devine with her bigger hitting to come in later down the order and really sort of drive that tail home, or the middle order at home, so that they can make sure that they're getting big scores and really start accelerating through that middle order. So, but I think I'm going to go with Sophie, but I think the fact that it's a bit flexible is another good sign again, that they could go with either option.
Definitely, that will be a thing for us to see. But sending you guys a virtual prediction hat. So where is New Zealand finishing off in the tournament? First, we'll start with Shathira.
I want to see New Zealand in top 4 definitely in semis, because I especially like New Zealand team both in male and female cricket, and I want to see them in semis definitely because it's their home ground. They have some advantage there also, and they have few good players who can change the game anywhere. So I'll go for New Zealand for top 4.
Top 4 home conditions, says Shathira. Julia?
Yeah, I'm the same. Top 4. I don't think they've quite got the armoury to get through to the final at this stage, but I think again, definitely the home ground is going to be a big advantage for them. So they might sneak in. It's a pretty tight sort of top 6, I think, in this 8. And I think that they just might pick a couple of people just at the post to get into that semi-final.
So quickly, the first 11s for the team. Who will start? Julia would like to go?
Sure, I'll go. All right, so I've got Sophie Devine and Susie Bates opening. Amelia Kerr at number 3. Amy Satterthwaite at 4, Maddie Green at 5. I pushed Katie Martin into 6. I think she's better off in the 6th position than the 7, purely because of probably not as quick between the wickets, but quite a smart batter and can find space well. Then I've sort of tossed up between Jensen and Down, but I think I'm going to go with Jensen just to give another bowling option. She can bowl off pace as well as she's really increased her pace as well, another bowling option. Then obviously Frankie Mackay, Leah Tahuhu, Jess Kerr and Hannah Rowe got the last spot for me, just ahead of Rosemary Nair.
Perfect. Shathira?
Almost the same playing 11. I don't need to say again because it's almost the same batting order and the same 11 for New Zealand.
So we've got the insights from our experts about the New Zealand squad. They'll play the first game, home conditions. It will be for us to see how New Zealand fares in this World Cup, have a momentum by their side, having won series against India. So if you guys have any questions, you can drop that in the comment section below. We'll definitely take those during our post, mid and during our pre, mid and post shows. Also, stay tuned to Women's Cricket Zone for all the updates on women's cricket.